Dear St. Hubert Catholic School and Little Saints preschool families, I hope this message finds you well and your loved ones staying safe and healthy. I want to take a minute to share with you some updates on COVID within our community. We knew when we started this year that infections were inevitable. Our goal was always to mitigate the spread and protect our community to the greatest extent possible. To the extent that our procedures are working, we have been able to maintain our in-person learning model. Looking at what's happening more broadly in the community, there are increased numbers of infections, both symptomatic and asymptomatic. The rise in cases may boost some anxieties and concerns within members of our community. We just asked families to indicate their preference for in-person or distance learning for second trimester. I also know that these decisions are incredibly complex and can be very hard to make, especially if you don't feel you have all the information. So I want to share a little more with you about what's been happening at St. Hubert. To begin, we have had a total of 15 lab-confirmed cases since the start of the year. From those cases, we have had to quarantine our 6th grade, a section of 1st grade, a section of 2nd grade, and a section of 3rd grade. Earlier today, we also began a quarantine of one section of 7th grade. So to summarize, we've had 15 total cases among faculty, staff, and students, with 5 grades having to quarantine since the start of the year. Looking at our numbers, our 15 positive cases are out of a faculty, staff, and student population of about 700, resulting in a positivity rate of 2% since the start of school. We have had a host of other individuals, both students and staff, out for quarantine, but the majority of those test results are coming back negative. I know there can be confusion on the notifications families may receive and how quarantine works. Because every situation is unique, it is not a guarantee that an entire section or class will quarantine if there is a lab-confirmed case. In some instances, an individual with a lab-confirmed case may not have been present in school during the contagion period. This can be the case when symptoms develop more than 48 hours after last contact. For instance, when symptoms develop on a Monday morning. An individual would not have had contact on Saturday or Sunday, so there would be no close contacts and thus no close contacts to quarantine. Depending upon the circumstances surrounding the use of masks, the classroom activities, and the interactions between individuals, the recommendation may be to quarantine. For instance, if it cannot be determined through contact tracing that an individual maintains social distancing and proper mask wearing, then a whole class may need to quarantine. Similarly, if those activities and results can be definitively traced, then a class may not need to be quarantined, but instead only a few individuals. Although I cannot say how every situation will turn out because the circumstances surrounding each situation are so unique, I can assure you that we work with our school nurse and Carver County Health to conduct contact tracing so that together we can make the best decision for our community. Many of you may have seen that District 112 School Board voted last night to move to distance learning. Our current approach is that we will be continuing with in-person learning while continuing to monitor what is going on more broadly within the public community and within our own school community. There is no doubt of the difficulty in educating during a pandemic. I think it's safe to say we all agree that in-person learning is the best way to educate a child, but that has to be balanced with the health and safety implications of doing so. The environment is so complex and ever-changing, and know that we will do our best to adapt to these changes while balancing the educational, spiritual, emotional, and health needs of our community. If any decisions are made regarding a change to our learning approach, we will communicate with families as soon as possible. And just so families know, we have sent requests to the district for busing information, but have not received any information yet. We will share that with families as soon as we know. I can tell you one challenge we may find ourselves facing in the coming days and weeks is the need to temporarily move a class to distance learning due to staffing shortages, not as a direct result of COVID. Given the increased cases we are seeing in the public space, there are domino effects of quarantine requirements, and this is not always about our faculty and staff being in quarantine, but sometimes involves their families. Sub-availability continues to be limited, and so we may encounter a situation with little notice that a class may be required to stay home. This is the case we faced earlier this year with one section of kindergarten, and it is the case we are facing right now in preschool. Know that we will always be working to find qualified subs so that students can continue to learn in person. As I've previously stated, it is our intention to continue with in-person learning. However, our ability to do so depends on each and every member of our community, including parents, students, faculty, and staff. The choices each of us makes has consequences and implications. Although it is incredibly tempting to have a sense of normalcy with a quick sleepover or go out to eat with friends or have a party, these decisions can and do have far-reaching effects. As we come to the holidays, travel implications and family gatherings are decisions each family has to contend with. There is no doubt that great sacrifices have been made since March by everyone, and we must continue to make sacrifices to achieve what we want. What I don't have is a crystal ball to predict the future, but what I can tell you is that if we continue with our safety protocols, wear a mask, wash our hands, keep our distance, stay home when sick, and not just staying home, but don't leave the house, and we observe the recommendations from the MDH and the CDC, we can increase our chances of forging a path to better serve our families. Thank you so much. I hope you and your family stay safe and healthy, and God bless.